Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Say What. Welcome, 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 Starlights to the party. I want to pick back up and provide some updates pertaining to the mass shooting at the parade at Highland Park in Illinois. So there's been a lot of things that have come out as of late. Also, the family is speaking out. His parents have made statements, his uncle. So I want to just share some of the interviews that are available for us to kind of review, just to see their thoughts as far as how they felt about Bobby. Uh, any idea as to why he may have reacted the way he did, as far as with shooting up, people in the community. Like we're gonna get into it, dissect some things that's been said. And people have a lot to say about this case, and they really are looking at the parent side eye, like, okay, come on now, this is your kid. How do you not know your child is disturbed? And then also participate with helping him get access to firearms. So we're going to get into all that. As you come in, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I go live, because as I say, we're real random over here. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain, we get into it. We get into all things celebrity, viral moments. And as of late, the streets have been hot. There's been a lot going on, in the communities pertaining to shootings. And right now, this Highland Park situation is a hot one right now. So I want to just kind of stay on top of it, providing some updates. The first thing I'd like to get into is Bobby's background. What's come out as far as with his mental stability, his family life, things that have contributed to, what he's done, what on July 4th he's accused of doing. So let's get into it. Let's just jump over. Let me share my screen and we'll get into this first article that kind of deep dives into Bobby's background and, who he is. So this is from thedailybeast.com. The article reads, parade shooting suspect Bobby Crimo attempted suicide multiple times. Family friend reveals. So, yes, we're going to get into this article. There's another clip I want to share that's going to be with the uncle as he talks about not seeing any signs of his nephew being disturbed. Mind you, they all share the same home. So it's quite interesting to hear, I guess, family say, hey, we didn't see any signs or any reason to be concerned, but we have, neighbors, parents of friends that say, oh, yeah, there were plenty of signs. Oh, they were there. They certainly were there. So let's get into this article and let's see. So this is a picture of Bobby. Looks like, when he was younger versus what he looks like today with the tattoos. So let's see. This article goes on to say, long before police say he used a semi-automatic rifle to massacre spectators at this weekend's 4th of July parade in Chicago suburb, Bobby Crimo III was on a downward spiral that friends told the Daily Beast lasted for years, but went unheeded by his family. So as I always say, and as I've said, in my previous videos, as I've covered this particular case, when the investigation starts, takes place, of course, after the incidents happen, we always see all these cues and signs that things weren't right before the attack or incident, slaying, whatever you want to call it, before it even happened. Oftentimes the information is like present, the information pertaining to the mental state of the individual is present on their socials, on like their Instagram, their Facebook, if they have YouTube. We see all this evidence, these cookie crumbs, all the signs prior to that would make someone say, something's not right here. And that would make anyone with a brain think that, okay, maybe somebody needs to go do a wellness check on this person because they talking crazy, they're demonstrating reckless behavior. But it just seems like it always comes out after the fact, even though beforehand it was there. And to me, what I notice is that when we see the evidence or the, of somebody being disturbed beforehand, as we've seen with these, mass shootings as of late, they haven't been anyone of color, or Black people. They've been, for the most part, in the majority of the situations, if not all, majority, they've been white males. And it's just, the common thing that I see is that when it's a white male and they're demonstrating disturbing behaviors up front before anything pops off, it's like it's unbothered. Like society's not even concerned about it. The social media platform that the information is posted on is not even worried about it. It's just like, whatever, freedom of speech in full effect. But then after the fact, it's just like, oh no, that should have been dealt with. That should have been, addressed, and this, that. But to me, when it comes to like people of color, in particular Black people, when there's some questionable things or what somebody may deem to be questionable is said or done, right away is jumped on. And next thing you know, their platforms are taken down. They disappear for a minute, then they come back like, yes, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. They kicked me off my platform because they said I was spreading hate, this, and that. So it's just like that same energy that applies for the Black people when it comes to that, whatever that's deemed to be anti whatever it may be. It's not the same energy that's put on to white people. And now we talk about it in the after fact, a day late, a dollar short. We get into it then about, oh, what transpired and all the signs that were there and that was missed. Like, come on, to me at this point, it's just obvious that it's intentional for these people to not be dealt with in real time when they are just putting it out there, their intention on how they feel about people or what they plan to do, like all of that. So let me just get back to this article, but I just want to kind of put that out there because the signs are typically 99.9 times, percent of the time, the signs are there that we're dealing with an individual that's sick and that's on the verge of a breakdown and about to do something reckless. I'm just saying. So the article also goes on to say the mother of two of Crimo's former skate park friends said that the accused mass shooter came to her house frequently around 2016 and 2017 and was nothing but quiet and polite. She says at that point, he wasn't yet cutting a disturbing figure as a wannabe YouTube rapper with tattoos covering his face and music riddled with violent imagery. Quote, he wasn't always like this, and I would have never guessed that he would hurt a fly, hurt himself. Yes, but hurt someone else? No, said the mom who asked to remain anonymous. Quote, he was a sweet kid, she added, but he hurt. He was very, very much a loner and depressed, and I think his emotional instability was kind of brushed under the rug by his family. According to the mom, Crimo threatened to kill himself and attempt suicide a few times when he spent time with her children. That Crimo struggled with suicidal thoughts and self-harm as early as 2016 hasn't previously been reported. Attorney George Gomez, who is representing Crimo's parents, Robert Crimo Jr. and Denise Pacina, declined to comment about whether Crimo attempted or threatened suicide in 2016. Listen, these parents, if nobody else know the state of this young man's his mental state, his parents know. Like his parents know. He lived in the home with, like, when you're that off, you can't, and then your parents are around, like, you can't make me to believe that they just was clueless to what your mental state was. I'm just saying. What else? The article also goes on to say, my office is not aware of anything like that happening in 2016, Gomez said, adding that his client did not follow their son on social media. They didn't know about his raps. The Lake County Public Defender's Office declined to comment, referring all questions to the city's communication arm. A spokesperson for the city did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Still, the mother of Crimo's skateboard pals, like many other Americans fed up with this country's wave of gun violence, is wondering how Crimo was able to execute a mass murder when he gave off so many warning signs to those close to him along the way, and why his father sponsored his gun permit application despite the 2019 police report showing he allegedly tried to kill himself and threatened to murder his family on separate occasions. Like, okay, so again, all of that wasn't a sign that something wasn't right. Crimo, 21, has been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder. Lake County State Attorney Eric Reinhardt announced, noting that he anticipates filing more charges during a harrowing bond hearing. Prosecutors revealed that Crimo allegedly confessed to orchestrating Monday's mass shooting and that he seriously contemplated carrying out a second attack after in Madison, Wisconsin. While a motive for Crimo's heinous crime remains a mystery, Assistant State Attorney Ben Dillon said Crimo told investigators that he dressed up like a girl and covered his tattoos with makeup to avoid recognition as he opened fire from the roof of a business overlooking the parade route. So here are pictures of Crimo's parents, Mom Denise Pacina and father Bobby Crimo Jr. Yeah. So, looking at him, look like just normal, everyday people in the community. From my understanding, his father had even ran for office within that community. So it clearly was a lot going on just within this family. And I think the ball was definitely dropped by his parents with not addressing the emotional issues, traumas that he may have encountered that ultimately resulted in him just losing it and just going Rambo. So that's that. I want to jump over to jump over to the Daily Beast, where they talk about what Crimo's father has to say about this matter. So let's just flip gears for a second, because I want to hear, I didn't, listen to it beforehand. So I thought I'd save it for this live to hear what it is, his father has to say. So this article from the ABC News, it reads, Highland Park alleged shooter's father says he is not culpable for son's attack. So he's like, yo, I know that's my son. I signed off whatever, but listen, I'm not carrying that. I didn't do it. He did it. It's not me. So let's get into and listen to what he had to say. Fair use. Let's get into this video.
Rampage outside of Chicago. The shooter making his first court appearance, and prosecutors say he admitted to opening fire on spectators, killing 7 of them. And they say he contemplated carrying out a second attack as well. Alex Perez is at Highland Park with more. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Robin. For the first time, we're hearing from the suspect's father, who maintains the family did not know the suspect was going to carry out that attack.
This morning, questions mounting as to how the gunman behind the deadly 4th of July rampage was able to legally obtain 5 guns after a series of red flags. Authorities promising a criminal investigation into the potential culpability of his father, who sponsored the suspect's application to obtain a firearm owner's ID because he was under 21, despite a prior suicide attempt and alleged threats to kill his family.
There is ongoing criminal prosecution and criminal investigation, issues of culpability, liability, who may have responsibility.
Overnight, the father speaking to ABC News.
I love my son, but it's devastating to everyone involved.
Claiming he was unaware of some of those incidents when he sponsored the application.
I filled out the consent form to allow my son to go through the process. They do background checks, whatever it entails.
His son, 21-year-old Robert Crimo, waking up behind bars this morning, denied bail after prosecutors say he confessed to the Highland Park massacre that left 7 people dead and more than 30 injured.
This is taken like the complete surprise. 3 days before the fourth, my wife had asked him, hey, do you have any plans for the fourth? And he simply said no.
And new details about the deadly rampage after the suspect's alleged confession. Authorities saying he considered carrying out a second attack on another celebration, driving from Highland Park to Madison, Wisconsin, armed with another firearm and 60 rounds of ammunition.
He seriously contemplated using the firearm he had in his vehicle to commit another shooting.
This, as we learn more about the 7 people who lost their lives. Eduardo Uvaldo, who was going to turn 70 this week after returning from a Paris trip with his wife to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary.
He was just the perfect father, perfect grandfather, perfect great-grandfather, and perfect father-in-law.
And his 2-year-old boy, Aiden, rescued from the chaos, pulled from underneath his parents' bodies after they were killed in the massacre. Our Stephanie Ramos is speaking with Lauren Silva about those terrifying moments.
He just kept saying, is mom and dad okay? And it was hard to look at him in the face and say, it's going to be okay, when I didn't know if it was.
Silva enlisting the help of another couple, the Rings, to eventually unite Aiden with his grandparents.
It's a time when strangers come together and you just act. And they were doing the same thing that I was doing.
And the suspect's father says he did not live with his wife or son at the time of those prior incidents. The suspect is due back in court July 28th. Robin?
All right, Alex, thank you. We're going to bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. And Dan, we heard in Alex's report from the father of the shooter, who is now being investigated because he sponsored his son's application to get a gun when he was under the age of 21, even though his son had previously threatened to take his own life and kill his family. So what type of charges could the father be facing here, Dan?
Well, there could be serious charges, no doubt about it, because in the state of Illinois, when a minor applies for a firearm, a parent has to sponsor them. And a parent signs the following, that they, quote, shall be liable for any damages resulting from the minor applicant's use of firearms or firearm ammunition. And that is exactly what happened here. Now, that's a civil standard, but it would certainly apply potentially to the criminal law as well. So an aggressive prosecutor could decide on involuntary manslaughter, for example. But remember, he's saying, his lawyer's saying, he didn't know about this incident that had happened then, and that would certainly be relevant in evaluating possible criminal charges.
So, Dan, do you think this tactic will become a new tool for prosecutors in mass shootings moving forward?
Absolutely. We've already seen it in the state of Michigan in the case, for example, of school shooter Ethan Crumbley, where the parents there didn't sign a document like this, and they were charged with involuntary manslaughter for simply not doing enough to stop it.
We'll see what happens, Dan. Thank you.
So there you go. Dad saying, listen, I wasn't staying in the house at the time. I didn't know, he had all that going on in the house, but Dad signed off. Let me switch my screen. Dad signed off with his consent, saying that he would vouch for his son, and this is what happened. So, as a parent, I think there should be some type of responsibility held there, just because, your child, even if he wasn't living in the house, the signs are showing that it's been, for a while, this young man was not mentally, emotionally stable. He just wasn't. So the uncle also has spoken out. I've come to learn the uncle lived in the home. He lived in the home also, with his nephew, and I think the nephew parents at, one point, so we just heard the dad said he had moved out of the house. I don't know how long he's been gone from the house, but I'm going to share my screen to show you, what the uncle has to say about the situation. Because, again, he's like, I didn't know he was off balance like that. Yeah, we lived in the same house, but I didn't know, that he was off. That's basically what I'm getting from the uncle. So let's check out this clip, this interview that the uncle, I think his name is Paul, maybe. So let's get into this interview. So this is from the New York Post, and it says uncle of suspect Highland Park shooter Robert Crimo apologizes. So Uncle Robert apologizes for massacre. So let's see what he has to say. Fair use.
Paul, thanks for talking to us. What did you want to say to the people who were hurt, the families of the people that were killed?
I just want to say I'm deeply sorry for everyone that lost their lives and got injured. From the bottom of my heart, I'm heartbroken and my heart is shattered to hear this. And I can't even believe it. And I just want to express my deeply sorry and my condolences to everybody. Me and my brother were very well known in Virginia, Highland Park, and we have a good character. Everybody loves us, and this is just, it breaks my heart to even hear about this.
Tell us about your nephew, Bobby the Third. Have there been any signs of trouble, any warning signs recently?
There's been no warning signs. As I saw him yesterday evening, and when I went home, I said hi to him. And then when I came back downstairs, I said bye. He said bye, and that was it. That was normal standards of all time. I see nothing that would trigger him up for doing this at all.
Had he ever said anything to you, or said anything to a family member that might have concerned people?
No, there's no concerns that I've seen at all.
And the weapon, do you have any idea where he acquired the weapon?
I'm not sure. No.
You don't?
No. Okay. I'm not really involved with it. Like, I mean, we're like, we just say hi and bye, and that's it.
You guys were living in the same home.
Yeah, we live together. Yeah.
Okay. Explain that arrangement. It was your dad's home, right?
Yeah.
At one time.
Yes.
Your dad passed away, and then you, your brother, and Bobby the Third were living there.
Yes. And he has his own apartment in the back, and I have my own upstairs bedroom, and it was separate the whole time.
Yeah.
So I seldom see him at times. When I do see him, I mean, he's actually, I mean, he has helped me around the house at times, and there was no signs of trouble. I saw no signs of trouble, and if I did see signs, I would have said something, but there was no signs of trouble.
What was he doing with his life? He was 22. Was he going to school? Was he working?
I think he was out of he didn't go to college, and he was like a YouTube rapper that I know, but I never even preview his videos at all.
Yeah.
I just know that he's on YouTube.
So he was trying to do rapping and
yeah, he's a rapper, and then he was also an artist. He was a good artist a while back.
Was he professional? Was he getting paid for it?
No. He drew good.
Did he have a job?
At Panera Bread, he worked from maybe 2 years ago.
A couple of years. But he's been unemployed.
Right.
And no mental problems or psychological problems?
Not that I know. No. He's a real quiet kid. He keeps everything to himself, and he doesn't express himself out. So he just like sits down on his computer, and there's no interaction between me and him.
And having known him your entire life and learning this horrible event, what do you think? What goes through your mind?
I can't even believe it. It seemed like it's a dream, and I can't even imagine. I can't even. I'm heartbroken. I mean, I'm deeply heartbroken, and I'll be heartbroken for the rest of my life. And seeing what happened, it just breaks my heart. And I just want to tell everybody that I'm very sorry, and from the bottom of my heart, and I'm just sorry, so sorry that this happened.
Our day
Okay, so as we see here, the uncle is saying, hey, yes, we lived underneath the same roof, but yeah, it was no signs that my nephew had some issues. Yeah, he rapped. I didn't listen to any of his music. He stayed to himself, but he was just a normal kid. Like, I'm not really buying that. I think that the family is just don't want to basically have to take on any responsibility of what Bobby Crimo III did, just because, you know, it's such a heinous act. Who wants to take on that responsibility? But at the same time, there were signs, I feel, that something wasn't right with this young man. And I think sometimes, a lot of times, people can get so caught up and comfortable in just their own life and what they're doing, to where they just dismiss what's going on with the next. And when it's your child, somebody in your household, like, you can't just dismiss that, especially when you see that it's what appears to be off is something that can impact not only their life, but the life of other people. And this uncle, you know, he was like, okay, well, that's not my kid, so whatever, that's their problem. Like, that's kind of like what I take from it, to where he's like, you know, I didn't really even interact with him. It was just hi bye. But I just find it hard to believe that even though that wasn't his child, he didn't hear certain things or conversations that were being had pertaining to this young man's mental state, or things that he was or wasn't doing. I just think that he just chose to just mind his own business and stay at his own lane. As far as the father, I think the father knew that his son had issues, but I think him signing off on his son getting a gun and all of that is just a prime example of just a parent just wanting to do whatever to make their child happy, to give in. A lot of times, parents can be guilty of giving in on things just simply out of guilt, because they know, okay, their child is going through some things largely because of them, you know, as far as the adults in their life and the poor example. And sometimes parents will just be so quick and easy just to say yes, because they just want to just appease that child. Um, I, that's what I feel what happened with Bobby's dad, you know, signing off on him to get that gun. It's just like, okay, well, he's an adult. No, he's not 21. I'm curious to know, how long ago was it that his dad signed off on that gun? Because Bobby is now, where they're saying like 21, 22. He's of age now to get a gun solely on his own. So I'm wondering, how long ago was it that his dad got him or signed off on that gun card for him to start that process with getting a gun? Because I haven't heard that part come out. But you know, needless to say, you know, unfortunately, the heinous crime, you know, it did happen. And I do feel like the parents, there is some conversations that need to be had with them, and potential charges, excuse me, in particular, that father who signed off for him to, you know, for the gun card. Let me switch over to another screen for the New York Post, because I want to get into Bobby, the relationship between Bobby's parents. So it was definitely a dysfunctional situation, to say the least, as far as with Bobby's parents. So he did grow up in a troubled household, and that definitely, you know, naturally had impact on just how he was moving in these streets, as far as with the poor decisions that he was making. So let me see. Let's get into this article. So this is from the New York Post, and it reads, Robbie Crimo's mom once assaulted his dad with a shoe and a screwdriver. So it's like two separate incidents. So let's get into this article. It says, Highland Park, Illinois, the mom of the accused Highland Park 4th of July shooter once pleaded guilty to leaving him in a hot car for 27 minutes when he was a 2-year-old, and assaulted his dad with a shoe and screwdriver, a newly released police report showed. So there was definitely issues in the home pretty much all of Bobby's life, starting at least going back to 2, where his mom left him in a car for 27 minutes. The hot car incident, which occurred in 2002, was one of multiple encounters Bobby Crimo III's parents, Robert Crimo Jr. and Denise Pacina, had with law enforcement during his upbringing in the wealthy Chicago suburb. Cops were called to the family's Highland Park home at least 9 times between 2010 and 2014 for various domestic violence incidents, including ones where Pesina hit her husband with her shoe and a screwdriver, the police report showed. Yes, child, like it was a lot going on behind behind these walls in this building. So it looks like this is the home. Authorities often visited Crimo Jr. and Denise Pesina's home in Highland Park, Illinois during domestic violence disputes. So it looks like this is the home that there was constant visits to. The string of reports were released by police in the wake of the 21-year-old son's arrest. In the wake of their 21-year-old son's arrest over the Independence Day mass shooting that left 7 dead and 40 others injured in their hometown. In the car incident, Pesina ended up pleading guilty to child endangerment for leaving her then toddler in the car alone with the windows rolled up in a toy store parking lot. Temperatures reached about 79 degrees on the day of the incident, according to police reports. So, yes, that was just a whole unfortunate situation. In one ordeal in August 2010, Crimo Jr. told police that his wife was drunk and had struck him in the head with her shoe. Pesina hit back saying she was driven to drink because Crimo Jr. disrespected and belittled her, the report said. So basically, she did all that because he said some stuff that hurt her feelings. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's basically what happened. So this is a picture of Bobby's mom, Denise Pesina. Yeah, so this is her. So this is Crimo's car. Alleged Highland Park shooter Robert Crimo III had an apparent obsession with the number 4 and 7. Not sure what the meaning is behind the numbers 4 and 7. Just a few months later, October 2010, cops were called to the home after Pesina allegedly hit her husband with a screwdriver. So that woman definitely was in that house doing the absolute most. We don't know what the husband was doing, but they spilling it in this article on what she was over there doing. She told police Crimo Jr. had been making mean statements to me and calling me names. Again, that man had hurt her feelings by saying some verbal things to her, and as a result, she decided to assault him. Yeah. Crimo Jr. later backtracked and told cops he no longer wanted the screwdriver allegation included in the report. So this young man has been witnessing violence pretty much all his life. All his life, yeah. So this is his father. So this is, of course, Robert Crimo III. And it says Robert Crimo III allegedly threatened to kill his family in April 2019. So it's his father, Robert Crimo Jr., admitted to the Post that his son, Robert Crimo III, deserves to serve a long prison sentence. Neither Pesina or Crimo Jr. were ever charged with domestic violence over the string of incidents, according to court records. So I'm just confused by that. Like, if they call the police 9 times, in a short span of time, I think that was from 2010 to 14, how there's no charges. Like, okay, what are we doing here? I don't understand that. Again, are we dealing with, because of the type of community this was in, what the skin tone of these people? But I don't understand how you had all this popping off and there was like no charges. Make it make sense to me. Please drop it in the comments or whatever. Let me know. Help me understand, because I'm confused by this one. Meanwhile, the couple also repeatedly called cops on each other for allegedly trying to drunk drive. Crimo Jr. accused his wife in June of 2011 of trying to pick up their daughter while drunk. Pesina then called cops in November 2013, claiming Crimo Jr. was trying to drive to work intoxicated, the report showed. So they definitely had no problem with getting police involved into their drama and calling, but I don't understand why there had never been any charges, while the city, whatever, like, why no charges were filed if all this domestic abuse was just taking place, and why a child would still be able to still continue to be left in that home with the evident dysfunction. Yes, that part. Let's see. The police investigate Denise Pacina's home in Highland Park, Illinois on July 4th, 2022. Robert Crimo III apparently drew a mural depicting a gunman with a happy face on the back of his mother's home in Highland Park, Illinois. So again, as we talk about, no signs that something was off with this young man. Okay, mom, did anybody take notice of this piece of art on the back of your house? Like, did you not know that was there? What was your thoughts when you saw that? Let's talk about it. The parents have faced widespread scrutiny, excuse me, after it emerged the father sponsored the FOID card application that allowed Crimo to legally purchase a cache of guns, including the semi-automatic used in the massacre. In an interview with the Post on Wednesday, Crimo Jr., a one-time local mayoral candidate, washed his hands of any guilt over how his son was able to obtain a gun. I bet he did. Because everybody looking at you with the side eye like, okay, as they say, Stevie Wonder could have seen that this man didn't need to have access to nobody's rifles. Like, then I was reading something. I didn't come across it where I think it was the uncle who had said that his brother had signed the card. I couldn't come across that article, that interview again, but he was saying his brother had signed off on the gun card because he thought his son was going to go to the gun range. So that's why he signed off on the card. Like, still, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you already know your child is mentally off balance because all his life he's been raised in dysfunction, and he's shown signs of just being not all the way there, he don't even need to be going to nobody gun range, because what are we going to a gun range for? You're going to the gun range to practice to be able to shoot outside of the gun range, right? That's typically why a lot of people, 99.9% of the time, go to the gun range to be prepared for battle, to be prepared to shoot outside of the gun range. This young man did not have the mental capacity to have access to anybody's gun inside or outside of a gun range. So I'm not buying that one. But again, that was something that I heard the uncle say in an interview. I was still searching for that interview, but I hadn't been able to come across it again. I showed a different interview. But listen, I think the parents definitely needs to be held liable to some type of extent, even if it's in a civil suit, as far as against the father, because he did, sign off on the gun card, which basically says, hey, I'm going to take responsibility over what takes place, with the rifle that I'm signing for my son to have. Basically, that's kind of what this gun card is, his signature for his son to have that gun card. That's basically, he's like, yo, I take full responsibility. Let me see. Where else would I leave off? The father still sponsored the application 3 months after his son was labeled a clear and present danger by authorities for threatening to kill relatives in 2019. Robert Crimo and Denise Pacina were allegedly involved in several domestic violence incidents, according to the police. Crimo Jr. insisted he sponsored the application because he thought his son was going to use the weapon to go to the shooting range. So, like I said, that's what the uncle said in an interview. Quote, he bought everything on his own and they're registered to him, the dad told the Post of his son's weapons. And quote, he drove there, he ordered them, he picked them up. They did his background check on each one, said Crimo Jr., insisting he had zero involvement in the massacre. Nah, player, you knew he was off balance and you signed off to jumpstart the process for him to gain access to those firearms. So you're going to need to hold your L and take responsibility, whatever that means. So hopefully, he will be held responsible in some light, whether it's criminal, civil, something. I think, I don't think that the father should be able to get off scot-free. Now, as far as for the mother, I haven't heard her name come up as far as with anything surrounding, I guess, with him getting access to guns and anything like that. So she might be all right over there, even though, she still take blame and just this dysfunction that the child was raised up in. But the dad, I'm definitely looking at you side-eyed. I'm definitely, he definitely needs to have that heat on him, because he did sign off for his son to, get access to guns, even though he had already shown signs to be a menace to society. Hell, the son was trying to knock the family off. So, if he ain't caring about the family, he ain't gonna care about me or you or anybody else around him, like that part. And then look at this whole art piece on the back of the house. Ma'am, did we not see this? He got this whole art, this collage on the back of the house. Where were these rifles, these guns kept? Like, come on. I think the parents dropped the ball by and now, mind you, he is grown, but when your child is off balance. And I'm not going to believe that he didn't turn off balance after he turned 18. No, this young man showed he was off balance all his life. Hell, his parents been showing they off balance all his life. So listen, he didn't have no chance. I don't understand why why Child Protective Services wasn't involved with removing him from the parents during the earlier years when there were all these phone calls made to the police in regard to domestic disputes. So as we read in the article, there was never any charges filed against the mom or the dad, even though there were all these police calls made to come out to the house dealing with domestic incidents. And then there were children in the house. There was reference of a daughter. I haven't seen any pictures floating around as far as of this daughter that also exists. So I don't know if she was older or younger. The focus just has been on the parents and Bobby, but there was at least a daughter, because they said in one of the police reports or something like the mom had accused the father, I think, of driving drunk or something with the daughter or something like that. So that was my first time hearing about another child, Bobby, having a sibling. But listen, I'm confused as to why these two dysfunctional adults were allowed to still continue to have children in the household. And now fast forward to 2022, all of this has popped off. And then now the best that the authorities can do or say is to look back and be like, wow, yeah, there were a lot of signs that things weren't right. Really? How often really do we hear that? We hear that a lot of times when the investigation starts taking place following a shooting. You'll see all these signs that individual was like off balance. Like that, usually it's the social media, like it shows that they are off balance. Sometimes you'll even hear maybe some of the perpetrator's peers say this person showed signs that they were off balance, maybe at school. Or 9 times out of 10, they are always kind of antisocial. So, and not all antisocial people are crazy or off their rockers, but it seems like in the situations where there's mass shootings, these particular individuals that are off, they're antisocial. So it's beyond, okay, somebody being quiet. You still got to do check-ins to see if somebody's still good. Like, yo, hey, you good? You still got to engage with them. And I feel like Bobby's parents, they just were so caught up in their own mess and shenanigans and dysfunction to where they didn't care about the children. They were just like, okay, y'all go sit down, go in your room. And mom and dad just constantly duked it out and just completely disregarded the impact that their dysfunction was having on their children. Who knows what the mental state of this daughter that we know that existed, what her mental state is, because we see, that Bobby is straight lost in the sauce, based off of just, what he went out there and did. And then Player had the nerve to say, he was contemplating on going to hit up someplace else. So thank God, that the police were able to catch him and intervene and intercept that, because that would have been just a whole nother situation that could have even been just as bad, if not worse. So it's just a sad situation. It keeps happening over and over again. All the signs are there as to how things like this can be prevented. I happen to fare on the side of I am for guns and people being able to have guns, But I feel like there also needs to be stricter laws on how to, with getting guns. For example, say if someone is, it is, I guess, in their record, or it's known that there has been situations that has brought light onto a person's emotional or mental state. So let's just say in this situation, Bobby Crimo III, they said that he had threatened to take himself out and his family. I think that type of information should be held in a database where when people are applying for gun, licenses or whatever, that information can be tapped into. Because yes, that may fall into like your personal, your medical information, but that to me still impacts as far as I guess a person's mental state when it comes to society. So I think that, maybe the person who's running the background, it doesn't have to show like great details as far as this person's medical history, but there should be some type of code to say this person isn't authorized as of right now. As long as, their information is coming up in that system, they're not authorized or they haven't been cleared to be able to operate a firearm. Like you can just keep it real basic. You don't have to, allow somebody to be able to just tap into all of the medical paperwork about a person's, mental state and all that. No, it can just be a code. Like, okay, this person body's coded as somebody who's not authorized. And then maybe later down the line, after the person has been reevaluated or some time has gone, this person's mental state could change and that information can be updated and that flag can come off. Like it's a process. I just feel like it's just not rocket science. There are some things that can get put into place that can help alleviate a lot of this. But the question is, as a society or the powers that be, do they really want any of this to stop? Or do they just want it to go on just to back their argument of let's just take everybody's guns? Like we can't have it as an all or nothing, because when you deal with an all or nothing, I believe is more people going to fare on the side of no, I'm keeping my guns versus yeah, take my gun. I think it should be levels to it. It should be okay. The talk not being about taking away guns, the talk about gun safety or the processes for acquiring guns. I think that should be the conversation. But it's like it's not had. It seemed like it's only talked about when something happens, and then we just talk about, oh, there needs to be change in gun laws, this, that, and the third. But it never happens. It's like, oh yeah, we need to talk about this, but the talk never happens. The change never happens. So what are we doing? We're doing absolutely nothing. We're just waiting for the next situation. That's it, period. And right now, it seemed like just about once every 30 days, if not sooner, a new situation is taking place pertaining to a mass shooting. It is like it's just so regular now. It's so regular, and then when these shootings do take place, lives are lost. Like we're not dealing with just an injury. We're dealing with whole lives taken, and we can't get those lives back. So it's just like, what do we do? Even right now with everything that's going on with this case, I've been researching, as anyone who, if you follow my channel, I've been researching and following this since all of this happened on Monday. Like I was legit in the middle of another live when one of my listeners was like, hey, there was a mass shooting. So I went ahead, I finished that live and jumped on and created a new live for this shooting. But since then, with my research, I haven't seen anything or anything from like top officials or anything pertaining to, I guess, the changes dealing with guns and all of that. That hasn't been the conversation. It's just strictly just talks about this situation. Like, it's like, what are we doing here? It's like we're spinning our wheels, I guess you could say. Like we're spinning our wheels. We're not doing anything. What they say, don't talk about it, be about it. We're just talking about it. So because we're just talking about it, it's just like, oh, okay, well, until the next time. And then you just have to hope and pray that your loved ones, nobody are caught up in a situation. I mean, that's all we can do and we can just have our firearms and protect ourselves and hope that if anything pops off, we're protected and we good and we got what we need. But it's not about that. It's about just as a collective, what can we do to just better the situation that can prevent having to even think like that. It's about that. And that's not, where the conversations are. So, I mean, it is what it is. I've just, like I said, I've been following this story. I wanted to just come back out here, just give some updates pertaining to the thoughts of the family, the lack of responsibility. They're not taking responsibility of this. They like, nah, Bobby Crimo the third, he on his own with that. Daddy like, yeah, I signed the card, but I ain't the one who completed the background checks. I'm not the one who bought the guns. All I did was sign my John Henry. Like, player. Like, you jump started it. Like, it started with you signing off for him to even be able to take on the steps that he was able to take on without you. Like, that part, you can't just skip over that part. That was the day one. And mama, he got a whole questionable art piece on the back of your house. Like, it. Listen, I cannot. Like I said, I just come out here to report the foolishness, the foolery. I don't create it. I don't make it up. I just come and report on it. I report in hopes that the information I bring out to you all can make a difference in your lives as far as how it impacts how you move out here in these streets. Because if you don't know, you don't know. So when you know, okay, how to move and how to protect yourself. And as I said, these laws, everything, there's no change. So the moral of the story is you need to protect yourself and your family to the best of your ability, whatever that means. You do what you need to do. You pray, you hope for the best. Because right now I don't have any faith that anything is going to get any better as it pertains to just with the gun violence. And I happen to feel like the powers that be, the higher ups, the government, whatever you want to call them, I don't feel like they really are interested in improving things. I think they'd rather just keep it as a talking point, because having it as a talking point, it creates a fear. I guess it's the fear tactic, because it seemed like election season. It's always election season. Either some getting voted every 4 years or something every 2 years. So it's always election season. And I think having talks pertaining to guns and all of that, it's just talk. It's like, okay, well, we just gonna not implement something because we want to keep it going as a talking point. So people who do have the same beliefs as me or our political party, they'll want to go out and vote for us because they'll think that, okay, we're going to push laws that that are lined up with theirs. Like, it's a setup. Like, it's smoke and mirrors. Like, really, like, it's not about making change. It's just about just having it as a conversation piece, a fear tactic to get people to go against one another, to vote in a certain way, to keep people divided, the Democrat versus Republican. Like, it's all a setup. At the end of the day, I have absolutely nothing to do with the people. It has to do with just, the powers that be. When I say the powers that be, that's just your higher ups, your politicians, the people who actually can impact change, people that can impact change. Us people that's down on the ground, us working class people, us people who are not impacting the change in laws and being able to authorize change in law. Like, no, it ain't got nothing to do with us. They try to make it seem like it does, but in my opinion, it don't. And this is the why. But that's all I got to say on this for now. Like I said, I've been watching this story, so I'll continue to watch it, come back with any updates that I feel, will be, good information for you to have, for your own knowledge protection and all of that. But please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I do go live, because I'm not on a schedule or anything. I kind of just, pop in when I can. And today I wanted to just, just do an update on this because it's been a couple of days, I think, since I did an update, and I seen that the family was speaking out. And when I saw what they had to say, I'm like, okay, really? That's what you got to say? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let me let the people know how you really feel out here. So again, I do thank you for joining. Please like, share, subscribe. We are the party over here. We are the Starlights, and we get into it. We get into everything viral, whether it be celebrity gossip or just what's going on out here in the streets of America, around the world. We get into it, and only how you can do better if you know. So I'm here to bring you the knowledge. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and until the next. Oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop the links inside of the description. So, if you want to refer back to any of this information that I touched on. Until the next time, peace.